What's up, everyone? It's Gigi Sober Sun here. Here's the 24-hour-a-day reading for January 29th, just in case you didn't have time to read it. And I just came from the beach, so I'm a little wind blown. And I just want to say that I'm doing this as an exercise for me to make sure I read this every day. And two, I always think that there might be somebody out there who doesn't have access to a meeting, or they didn't even know about AA or what have you. And YouTube is a way that, we can get the message of recovery out to people who are unaware of it. So if we can get that benefit as well, you may be thinking, what's this guy doing? I know this guy. He's in, he's just Joe Schmo in the meetings, So just as an act of service and an act of habit for me to get into the literature, I'm going to start with the 24-hour-a-day book and go through and do a year. Actually, I got to make sure that I mark the page. But yeah, so the way we get it in front of more people and perhaps get it in front of somebody who, really needs it and doesn't know about how to get into recovery, is you thumb up or thumb down even, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you get notified when I do follow-up videos or the next day or what have you. And together we can, God can continue to use us all as instruments of recovery on this medium we call YouTube. So hope that was received in humility as I intended it. So January 29th, what a load wasting money puts on your shoulders. They say that members of AA have paid the highest initiation fee of any club members in the world because we've wasted so much money on liquor. We'll never be able to figure out how much it was. There's been people who have attempted to figure that out, but we'll never be able to figure how much it was. We not only wasted our own money, but also the money we should have spent on our families. When you come into AA, that terrible load of wasted money falls off your shoulders. We alcoholics were getting round-shouldered from carrying all those loads that drinking put on our shoulders. But when we come into AA, we get a wonderful feeling of release and freedom. Can I throw back my shoulders and look the world in the face again? Meditation for the day. I believe that the future is in the hands of God. He knows better than I what the future holds for me. I am not at the mercy of fate or buffeted about by life. I am being led in a very definite way, and I try to rebuild my life. As I try to rebuild my life, I am the builder, but God is the architect. It is mine to build as best I can under His guidance. That's interesting. I like that. The architect. I've recently heard that, like, when we, and I've coined a phrase called pre-member. Someone I was following talks about feeling the feelings of having the type of future that you want. Like, how will you feel when you have the type of future you want? Like, I hope to be a little more stoic, I think, in the future. I mean, more, less overthink things less, and, be more decisive, that kind of thing. And so if I use my imagination, my God-given imagination, and I feel what that's like, and I manifest that, and is the term that is often used, that is emulating the divine. God is the creator, God is the architect, and I'm mimicking God by doing that in my own life. And that's an interesting concept. I'm not sure if I totally buy into it yet. I don't think and some people say, like, if you want a certain car, or you want to make a certain amount of money every year or something like that, have a certain amount of income, then you can do that. Maybe. I'm not saying no, but I think it's much deeper than that. Sort of like, like I was saying the other day, like, people told me in the early days, think about what you would want in a year. And they often said, you'll have a life beyond your wildest dreams. I have a life beyond my wildest dreams. I couldn't imagine this. I couldn't have imagined what I have today as a, 16, 17-year-old in high school, and here I am. I thought I wanted something, and it didn't come about, So anyway, prayer for the day. I pray that I may depend on God, since He has planned my life. I pray that I may live my life as I believe God wants me to live it. That can be read a lot of different ways. Well, anyway, I have to be careful in my recovery not to avoid anticipating what God's going to do, how God's going to bless me, or how God's going to come through in a certain situation. That seems to be my default setting. And it's no fun. It would be no fun if God just was like, yep, boom. Every time I thought, oh, this is what God's going to do, and then boom, God did it. You know what I mean? It's like, if I had God all figured out, I wouldn't have a very big God, But one habit, I guess, I have fallen into twice in my life. Once was in middle school, believe it or not, when I was going to a Pentecostal church, and I was trying to really hard get good for God. And every time a sinful thought would come into my head, I thought it was my job to squeeze it out, sort of white knuckle and grit my teeth and squeeze it out, and then beg God for forgiveness. And when that fell apart, as it always does, right? Some people may be able to do that much better than I can for much longer, sustain that getting good and being good and begging God to forgive you kind of thing much longer than me. But in the end, it led to, as the big book said, pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. And I ran from God because I thought, well, if I give up this life of struggling and striving and trying and, gritting my teeth and clenching my fists and trying real hard with my willpower to be good, then it ends in exhaustion. And so when I gave up, I thought God was mad at me and was going to punish me and that I was going to hell. And so guess when my drinking and drugging took off? That's the point right there. So anyway, there was another thought I had about that, but the proper use of the will. The big book talks about it. It says we must carry these thoughts into all our days. What is God's will for us? We can exercise our willpower along these lines all we wish. It is the proper use of the will. It is so awesome that the big book lays it out there for us. The exact and proper use of the will is to seek God's will for us in our lives. That's why when people talk about the St. Francis prayer, they refer to it as the 11th step prayer. Yes, it's in the 11th step in the 12 and 12, but the 11th step prayer is, for me, is God, please show me what your will for me is and give me the power to carry it out. So at any rate, that's it right there. And what my saying is at the end of each video is referring to when we're drinking, we often have our head down. A lot of us, we drank ourselves into just a state of pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. So our chin, my buddy Waddell says, our chins are dragging on the floor, and where our head's down. You can hardly look anybody in the eye, just like it was saying in there, It's not just the money, but we can hardly look anyone in the eye. So the first step is, in that process, is what happens when we start working the steps, is we look up. We get a higher power and we look up. And then we aim up. As a result of working the steps, we develop a relationship with a higher power and we aim up to something higher. Doesn't mean we're going to get it right all the time, but if you don't aim at anything, you'll, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. Usually it's low. And then in that process, you rise up. So that's why I say, look up, aim up, rise up. Thank you. I love you. God bless you. Have a great day.